And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from the Three Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. The last few days have been absolutely amazing in terms of the growth on this channel. Thank you so much for being part of it. Thank you for subscribing, liking the video, and commenting down below. Remember, we are live, so I will answer questions at the end of the session. So make sure you comment down below if you have any at all. This is the place you want to be a part of if you want to learn how to not only fall in love, but actually stay in love as well. Okay? Like, this is one of the most amazing discoveries that I think that this world will ever see in terms of relationship technology. That's what you can call it, okay? Relationship technology in the terms of the how-tos of actually falling in love and staying in love. Like, I'm repeating it, but it's just insane because very often people believe that, well, I mean, falling in love is just something that happens. It happens to me. Now, absolutely, that's what you want it to do, but there's a certain science to it. There's certain things that need to be in place. There's a cause and effect to you falling in love. You falling in love is the effect. But there was a cause that made it happen. Does that make sense? And it's the exact same way with why does that falling in love emotion disappear? People just take it as common knowledge and common fact that, well, you know, that kind of love will always disappear. And you can't do anything to retain it in a long-term relationship. No, you can. You just have to understand the science behind it. Because you falling out of love is an effect. It's not the cause. Something caused it to happen. And if we know what that cause is, we can make sure that the cause that made you fall in love in the first place, if we can just make sure that that remains forever, while at the same time you having peace in your heart, so you know that there's trust, there's depth, and he's not going to go anywhere, and you're going to be able to have that in-love feeling forever. That's what this channel is all about. I've noticed and I understand how femininity and how women function in the sense of they function best when it comes to their emotions, right? I can rationally explain to you Three Girls in Love until you're blue in the face and until I'm blue in the face. But that's not going to help you one bit because your emotions are rejecting everything that I'm saying that you don't agree with. Does that make sense? So if you agreed with my whole philosophy, the rationality of it would start to make sense to you. But when your emotions, like emotions will always overpower any rationality. That's why you sometimes, like when you've fallen in love with someone that wasn't good for you, those emotions overpowered the rationality of that guy's not good for me. I don't want him for my life. I don't want him to be the father of my children, but I have all these powerful emotions. It's the exact same way when it comes to the things that I teach on this channel. Your emotions are going to churn away and not want to accept it, and that's okay. I understand that. The best way to get through to you is with stories, is with examples, is with helping you to cry, you know, and to like get you to the point where your emotions are fired up about Three Girls in Love. And that's a process that we'll get to eventually over time. And, you know, I'll do my best continuously. But the whole point that I'm saying to you is allow yourself to calm down. Allow yourself to get to know my channel, to get to know me and what I stand for. The only thing I care about is to benefit women and children for life. If there's anything that I want more than anything else is for all women and children worldwide to be taken care of, to live luxuriously, do not have to worry about money. Do not have to worry about them having to work 12 hours a day or even 8 hours a day or even 6 hours a day. I don't want any women to work, in my opinion, because then they can live their lives carefree if they're with a man of high value who has tons of cash and who is trustworthy, who's not going to go anywhere, and who's not going to misuse that power that he has when he has the money in the relationship. I want women and children to be taken care of so that they can enjoy their lives, to enjoy the now, so that men can take care of making sure that the now becomes better. That's their job, to improve the now. And the women and children are to enjoy the now. Anyway, what I wanted to do today is to go through some more fundamentals of the Three Girls in Love movement, and I'm going to do it with some slides. And so the best way to do that was to go to Instagram and check out my Three Girls in Love profile. It's a private account, so you have to request. And what is going on here, it's an amazing account, guys. Like, you'll be able to get the vibe of what this movement is all about from that account. You can see the pictures. We have 3 women, 3 girls in love pictures all over the place. Obsession equals loyalty. Women, feminine men and children choose, but masculine men make decisions. We explained it. The text that we have here are absolutely amazing. But what I wanted to go through was this one. These are the basics. So let's see if I can take this one down a little bit so you guys can see a bit better what's going on. Okay. Femininity seeks to be understood first before understanding. Masculinity seeks to understand first before being understood. If you understand how relationships dynamics work, you will understand that women have way more intense emotions than men, which means that they're in the now and they have very intense emotions about specific subjects. Sometimes they don't have any intense emotions. And if they don't have intense emotions about it, most probably the man is not going to have intense emotions about it. It's quite interesting when a man is fired up about something and is trying to persuade his wife, then her job, like whatever, it happens every single time. Her job as the opposite is going to have to be skeptical. She's going to have to retreat because the other person is very passionate and very excited about something, right? And so that person is skeptical, which kind of creates a rejection, but it also makes sure that both are not heading for destruction. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good thing when you have 2 people discussing and one is passionate and one is kind of retreating a little bit. But in a relationship, when you are upset about something, as a woman, you're going to have intense emotions, and femininity then, which is emotion, wants to be understood. Rationality seeks to understand first, right? So if we know that, then we can see that women will seek to understand, will seek to be understood before they are even interested in hearing what the other person wants to say, right? They want to be listened to. They want to be accepted. They want to get a hug. They want to make sure that their point comes across because it needs to come out. It needs to be vented, right? The guy in that relationship or in that argument is not going to have a big issue with it. So he's going to receive. If he's feminine and he feels attacked or offended or something like that, he's going to be feminine and seek to be understood first too. So when that happens, as I explained in the last video, there's going to be an escalation in arguments continuously until it blows up too much. And, you know, and then you start yelling at each other and maybe like starting being violent with each other and throwing things at each other, all that stuff. That doesn't have to happen in any relationship. So if you've had that in the past, trust me, once you find a man of high value or get one from the channels and from this movement, you'll never have those kind of arguments ever again. Wow, amazing. Like, guaranteed. Because a man of high value will understand that he's going to seek to understand first. And guess what? Since he's masculine, he can actually control his thoughts. He can control his emotions. And because of that, he can control his behavior. And if he does, he'll seek to understand first. So he'll listen to you. And you'll yell at him, and you'll yap at him, and you'll basically seek to be understood, and it's actually easier to be understood when he's actually listening. If he's not riling you up even more, then you don't feel more misunderstood. Does that make sense? Like, the only reason why you're pissed in the first place is because you feel misunderstood. So, and if he's feminine back, then he's gonna escalate the situation. You're gonna feel even more misunderstood, and that's why you get riled up and things get worse. One of the reasons why Three Girls in Love is the way it is, why you need women in your life. You need a man to take care of your luxuries, to take care of your protection, your provision, and for you to have a carefree life. Wonderful, but he's not there the majority of the time. He's working. He's out there in the capitalist markets, bringing the dough, doing his thing, okay? Building up an empire, a conglomerate that's going to last 1,000 years, okay? And setting up 10,000 employees, 100,000 employees. Think bigger about what your man of high value is going to do, because he's not going to be an itty little bitty guy with an engineer job, okay? Forget that stuff. That's not what we do on this channel, on this movement. This movement is about finding you, specifically you, I'm talking to you, a man of high value who will provide for you luxuriously. It's a given. That's what happens in this movement. Okay, moving on to now you understand that it's all about the women. It's all about the three women being together in the home. That's what the movement is all about. And them living together, accepting each other, loving each other, literally being best friends forever, and seeking to understand each other. They're not masculine, but they're seeking to be understood, but because they're feminine, they're living harmoniously because the man takes all of the blame. He takes all of the blame in those relationships. The women never, ever blame each other. But it's not that they have to be masculine in order to not blame each other. They simply remind each other enough times. And when they've reminded each other 1,000 times, oh yes, that's right, I forgot. It's the man's fault. Okay, so we don't have to be upset with each other. We don't have to have tiffs. We don't have to have this and that and the other. The only reason, like Jordan B. Peterson, what I've heard one time, he was asked about why polygyny is not going to work, why polygamy can't work. And he explained that, oh no, the women would kill each other. Now, I have huge respect for him, but he completely misses the point and doesn't understand the completeness of female nature. If women are living in harmony with each other because the blame is elsewhere, that's the best thing that creates unity in a relationship, right? If you have something in common and the person you have in common who is the one to blame, fantastic. Then you can literally be there for each other and seek to be understood and accept each other because you listen to each other. Anyway, moving on to the next one. It's a crucial aspect of Three Girls in Love. Okay, I have two different ones here. One's for feminine, one's for masculine. When women become masculine, things become skewed, it becomes warped, and it's not working very well. When women remain in their femininity, life is simple. Life is easy to understand, okay? And men become masculine. That's what they're designed to do. They develop 10 to 12 times more testosterone than women will ever do, okay? No matter how hard women try to have massive amounts of testosterone through discipline and through focus and through being athletes or being massive, corporate ladies, like, you're never going to get to the point of competition and motivation and drive and consistency that a man can do if he wants to. If he has the motivation and driving capacity to do that, he has the capacity. It's just latent. But does he have the motivation? In monogamy, he doesn't have that motivation because his sex drive is cut off. It's like, oh, I'm only with this woman and now I'm kind of getting bored. Like, I mean, it's nice. I really enjoy being with her sexually. That's what goes on in all, monogamous men's brains. They're like, their brains are trying to be loyal. They're trying to control themselves, but their polygamous nature, which is masculine, by the way, femininity is monogamous nature when they're living according to nature. Okay? And that, yeah. So the man is like struggling with this polygamy thought, like, I want to sleep with multiple women because that was my eternal design, but I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to discipline myself. Okay, I'm going to do that. He will no longer have capacity to do anything else because he's working all day long to try to control himself sexually. And do you understand? If he gets 3 and he practices semen retention, there is no need anymore. He fulfills his want of having multiple sexual partners, but there's no need anymore. I'm just explaining that aspect to understand men a little bit better, because men are very rational when it comes to this in terms of not talking to their woman about their physical needs or their physical desire for multiple women. What happens every time a man talks to a woman about, I wish I had more women in my life? She's gonna flip off the handle, right? Of course she will. And that's why men don't talk about it. Have you heard the quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson when he says, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation? Why do you think he said that? This is part of it. This is a huge aspect of it because of our polygamous nature. Once we begin to communicate openly with our partner or with society at large and say, yeah, I'm masculine. I have a polygamous drive. However, I control it. And I only want to have my polygamous drive within this constricted area of 3 girls in love. Nothing else. I can be trusted. I'm not going to steal your wife, right? Because other men become like, oh, he's polygamous or he's a player and he's going to steal my wife or anything. That becomes like territorial and it creates issues and a lack of trust, distrust. And it, like, you can't progress as a masculine man if you are going through life sleeping around with a bunch of women. Like, other men are not going to trust you. But if you are living disciplinedly in a 3 girls in love setting, and those are the 3, once you get those 3, that's it. That's it. You'll never come home with a new girl. You'll never cheat. Why would a man cheat if he's being adored by 3 women at home and they're massively in love with him? And he practices semen retention, so he doesn't have that hyperdrive sexual need thing that men very often have because they're feminine. To not practice semen retention for a man is feminine, okay? Anyway, I'm going very deeply into all of this, but I hope that you can actually appreciate the things that I'm talking about, because I'm really giving you nuggets all over the place. But if you must find a man or receive a man from the Men of High Value movement here, a guy who practices semen retention. It is crucial. It's healthy, okay? Don't worry about that. It's crucial that he practices this because that leads him to desire sex, but disciplines him to not need it. He won't need it anymore, and he'll be able to channel that sex drive, not only being in the home and being with his 3 women, you guys, but he'll discipline himself and be 80% out in the workforce or in the, his career, and massively building up his businesses, amplifying his sex drive. A man's sex drive, and that he wants it, but is disciplined about not expressing it all the time physically, just, and lets it out there, and instead retains that power and uses it to achieve his dreams and goals. That's sexual transmutation according to Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Amazing stuff. So if there's guys listening to this, like, go and subscribe to the Men of High Value channel. I talk about that stuff all the time there. Anyway, I haven't even explained the feminine, slide here. Let's do that for a second. Okay, so feminine is governed by emotional logic. I've explained in the last video, both women and men, or boys and girls, between the ages of 0 to 8 years old, are both feminine. They're supposed to be feminine. They're supposed to live according to this emotional logic. You're not supposed to, as a mother, as a father, as a society, to expect children below the age of 8 or 9 to grow up too fast. We want them to remain kids. We want them to remain feminine. If we tell them to shut up, sit down, listen to me, do this, or else you do this and that, and if we do that, they're going to have to force themselves to become masculine and disciplined and focused and it's not going to work very well because their nature is femininity. So if we know that, it's the same thing with women, okay? Emotional logic, it's a good thing. It's an amazing thing when they can live according to their nature. Emotional logic is completely different to rational logic, which is this one. I'm just going to go through it real quick. Care, the ability to not care. That's the dual nature of femininity. The way that it works is that women are not able to not care when they're rejected. Have you noticed that? Every single time you're rejected, or there's an ounce of maybe, did she reject me? Did he reject me? Because I didn't like the tone of that. That's the inability to not care. Women are designed with it for a reason. Because if they have that, which they do, whenever someone rejects them, and they're unburdened. Okay, let's imagine that now you're unburdened, you're living a carefree lifestyle, everything's fantastic, and you are making sure that you're in a protected environment so that you don't get rejected all of the freaking time. Because that's going to put you in survival mode, meaning masculine mode, okay? Instead of being in growth mode, which is your femininity. What's going to happen if you're rejected within your protected environment? Meaning, for example, the man is like, oh, I needed this. I wish you could have done this for me. That would have been amazing. Then you're like, oh, I care. Because you care and you have an inability to not care, you'll actually be running in the direction of solving his problem. Do you understand what I mean? So in the same way, if you get rejected by your kids crying, like every time, if a woman is feminine and a kid cries, her nature is to run towards the kid and figure out what's going on. Oh, what's going on? Oh, if she doesn't have capacity, she still has an inability to not care, but she, like, it becomes an extra burden, an extra problem, and it lowers her capacity even more, if that makes sense. So we want women to be completely unburdened because then they'll actually care about people and have capacity to do so. A woman's brain is very focused on one thing if her emotions become intense. So for example, let's just use the example of the bedroom for lack of other examples. But the thing is that as a woman, you want to be in your body, meaning you want all of your wires, because that's what happens. If your body begins to feel something, that goes straight to your brain. And your brain is the biggest sexual organ, they say, right? Which makes it so that your brain is functioning if all of the wires in your brain are interconnected and working together in terms of achieving its goal. Right? And the goal is to achieve what you want in the bedroom. In the same way, that happens in regular life. If your emotions are beginning to run, your wires in your brain are all going to become interconnected and work together to solve the problem. If you are living a masculine life, then you're going to have some issues with that because there's rejection from every side. Okay, you're being rejected all of the time, and if you're rejected all of the time, then you don't have capacity to solve all those problems. And then that becomes a burden. You become more and more masculine. I don't have time to spend time on all of these things, but basically, women are emotional creatures, environmental creatures. Chaos, unorganized, that's good. We like that, okay? That's life. We love life. Masculinity is disciplined. There's no life. We're very often expected to be robots, to do this consistently, monotonous, boring, mundane task that creates exponential growth. If we do that, then we get the joy and happiness of momentum, okay? Of being fired up because we're winning massively because of the exponential growth. That takes boring, mundane consistency. Women, however, femininity, when they're feminine, there's life. Life is exciting, okay? So, because life, there's always something new. There's something exciting, something, it's chaos, it's unorganized. And that creates joy and happiness if it is in a protected environment. If it's not in a protected environment, it could create a lot of problems, right? Like, for example, alcohol parties or drugs or all these things. if you, yeah, do you understand what I mean? Anyway, it's carnal, which is a good thing. We want femininity to be carnal. If you've been burdened by religion, most probably you're masculine because of that religion, and you have an inability to be carnal because you're like, no, I can't think like this, I can't think like this, I can't think like this. If you simply were allowed to express your emotions, not necessarily in your behavior, because we got to keep it within the bounds of family, right? You can't be carnal out there and sleep around with tons of men and expect for you to remain in your femininity. Not possible. It's going to burden you with masculinity over time, and you're still going to be carnal. You're going to hold on to your feminine aspect of being carnal and unorganized and all that stuff. But you're going to become burdened, massively burdened, become masculine. But if you are carnal within the limits of your home, with your man, and with your two other women, then it's beautiful. Then it's amazing. Because it's within the boundaries of protection. You're being protected within there in order for you to be carnal and remain in your femininity, if that makes sense. And also blames. I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime with your feminine, you'll notice that taking responsibility is not part of your nature. That requires discipline. That requires thinking. We don't want that. We don't want women to discipline themselves. Because like, you'll discipline yourself in the areas of life that you want to discipline yourself in. But if there's an area or a rejection that comes in and people say like, that was your fault, woman, that was this and that and the other, you understand emotionally that there's something inherently wrong about this situation. And you will blame something else because you know it wasn't you. And this comes very often from the cycle that you have. You have a cycle that goes 28 days. You know the cycle, right? And that cycle happens to you, right? It's not you creating the cycle. And that's a God-given cycle that has been given to you or in such a way, or given to us by the universe, in order for you to have that in you, so that you do blame. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Because if you're because you have the other opposite, the dual nature of you actually caring if you're feminine. So if you blame, that's good because you're blaming the man. And you don't blame the other women, and you especially don't blame the kids, right? So you blame the right person, but that's what you're disciplined in. You're not blaming the other women, you're not blaming the other kids. So anyway, I'm just explaining it briefly. Spends, nurtures, socialism. That's, if you notice, femininity is very in love with socialism. And why? Because they do not want to leave anyone behind. That's caring for you, right? They want to make sure everyone is brought along, that no minorities is left out. We got to make sure we include and accept everyone. It's wonderful. We love it. But there's a problem with it. Financially, it doesn't work on a grand scale. It works in the home, though. If the man massively goes out and creates luxurious amounts of money, like, and he has tons of gold and tons of silver and tons of Bitcoin and tons of everything, right? If he's got tons of resources, socialism in the home does work. Because there's an endless amount of resources that come in every single month. Passive income for the women and children. Amazing, beautiful. We can go out shopping. Socialism, no one left behind. It's supposed to be practiced in the home, not out there. Because if you practice socialism out there, you're always going to run out of other people's money. And it's not going to work. And it uses force for results. Because we need to solve the situation now. Have you noticed climate change? Oh, the planet is going to die in 12 years. And we've got to force everyone to do this and that and the other. It's a very, very bad system. Because it creates it creates panic and fear in everyone, and when that happens, everyone stops doing what they're supposed to do, and we're not progressing as a human species. Anyway, I could go on and on and on, but understanding these aspects is crucial to understand Three Girls in Love. You won't understand Three Girls in Love. You'll be like, but then again, this is the rational aspects. Female nature is a male science. If you understand it, if you understand the woman, you will understand the world. So I hope that you women as well also want to understand yourself. Let's see. So masculine, you don't want to be masculine, okay? If you're masculine, you're going to become emotionally dead inside. If you've ever noticed yourself that I can't feel anything, like what's wrong with me? I feel like I'm dying, or I feel like I'm gonna die, or I feel this, that, and the other. That's emotional death. That's you becoming masculine, by the way. Every single time you feel that, I'm burdened. Masculine. So if you realize that women were not designed to move towards masculinity, it's a very, very bad idea. And they're actually going to get tons of health problems and relationship problems and long-term, probably financial problems as well. Not necessarily. There are some very masculine women, corporate ladies, and that are making a lot of money out there, but they've sacrificed their health and their relationships in order to get it. There's a billionaire lady in Norway who was asked, like, if you would do it again, would you do it? And she's like, no, I don't think I would do the billionaire thing again if I could choose. If I could choose, I'd probably go back and become a doctor. A billionaire? Are you kidding me? You have all the money, like you could do anything, and yet you wouldn't want to become a billionaire. Women and men are different. If you put women on a male path, they're going to be unsatisfied. They're not going to have a fantastic lifestyle if they're moving towards masculinity. Men, however, if they remain in their femininity from childhood and never grow up, guess what? They're going to become unhappy, depressed, suicidal, all that crap that goes on in the world today. It's not necessary if you understand femininity and masculinity. So, masculinity is the ability to not care. That's a positive trait and a negative trait. It's a negative trait if they don't care about other people in the sense of, oh, I can do whatever I want and I don't care, right? Because then, like, if everyone does that, the world's going to look crazy, right? So we want men to choose to care about the things that matter the most. And that's family, that's truth, that's freedom, etc., etc. And creating win-win situations. If they don't care because they're lawless individuals, that's a very bad thing. You don't want men to become feminine, because if they're warped, they're going to choose to not care at all about anything. And I can kill and murder and steal and all that stuff. Not good. We don't want men in that arena. And that's not masculinity or toxic masculinity or whatever people call it. That's femininity warped with masculinity. It's being a hybrid. Okay, because they need to do things now and their emotions are controlling them, right? We don't want that. We want masculinity to be emotionally consistent, emotionally stable. There's nothing upsets me. Like, I know I'm progressing towards my dreams and goals and I have time. I'm patient. So, masculinity as well, individualistic, rational, law and order, takes responsibility, absolutely amazing, provides, protects, right? Because he's warped. If he's feminine, then he's going to be like, oh, chaos, unorganized, my emotions. I'm a collectivist. We need to fix all of this now at this time. And, and like, it becomes very warped. And if you notice any guys who do not believe in capitalism, run away from them, literally, because they're feminine. Like, that's by nature how it works. If a man votes for force, run away. Because that's what you do. When you vote for bigger government, you vote for more force. And you don't want to be around a guy who believes in force. Do you? Like, do you want to be around a guy like that? Do you want to date a guy like that? No. You want to date a man of high value who believes in free agency, who believes in voluntarism, who believes that I lead, and if they want to come with me, awesome. If they want to leave me, that's fine. No problem. I want to lead in a voluntary way, in a voluntary manner. People can follow if they want. They're free to do whatever they want. That's the kind of guy you want to be with. And that guy believes in capitalism because he believes in win-win situations and not in forcing others to do what he wants them to do. Because then it becomes warped, right? Femininity, masculinity. Okay. Feminine. Like we could have had on the other two slides, we could have had that femininity is monogamous by nature, and then masculinity is polygamous by nature, but we're doing that here. So femininity in monogamy is attracted to its own gender. You'll notice in your teenage years, guess what happened? You were curious, you were intrigued. Wow, Like, you're in the shower at school or whatever it was, and you were just like, I wonder how it would be to touch that boob. I'm talking about you now as a girl, okay? You had these thoughts. When you watch porn, sometimes, or maybe all of the time, you're looking at the girl instead of looking at the man. Your man's like, I don't really want to look at the man. I'm looking at her pleasure. Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, that's being attracted to your own gender. That's being sexually fluid, as we call it, okay? That's femininity. That's good. We want you to have that. That's amazing. And you're monogamous with your opposite gender, okay? Monogamous. Why? Because if you're in your feminine nature, you're going to be obsessed with one thing. Why? Because if you're feminine, then it's your emotions that are working, and like I explained before, the wires are collaborating in order to get that one guy. If you're masculine, you're going to be polygamous, because you're going to be like, well, I feel this for this guy and I feel this for this guy. Like, it's the natural aspect of the hormonal levels and the emotional levels that happens between masculinity and femininity. If you have a desire for multiple partners of the opposite gender, you are massively masculine. Just understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you, okay? I'm just putting you in a category in order for us to generalize and understand what's going on. The more masculine women become, the less family becomes a priority. The less children become a priority. The less feminine things become a priority. You want the masculine things. You want power. You want what men have, okay? Femininity doesn't want what men want. They just want to be carefree and relax and be on the beach and do their nails and go to a party and have a lunch with other women and stuff like that. Do you understand what I mean? Like, masculinity is driven to other areas, and because of that, they begin to develop that polygamous nature, etc. Femininity feels something is missing, right? The thing that's missing in monogamy is the fact that she doesn't have the two other women. So, responding to someone who wrote me on Instagram this morning and said, I get all of your principles, and it's actually, it makes sense to me. However, why three? Why three women? Why can't it work with one woman, one man? One of the big aspects is this one. You feel something is missing. You'll never become complete unless you have other women with you on your journey through life that have been with you from the beginning, okay? And that are with you completely at the end. And that have been your best friends and been by your side continuously, who know everything about you, and they've accepted you and loved you for who you are, so that you didn't have to do that all on your own, because you're not designed to only love yourself. If you could do that, then you'd be, you could be on an island all by yourself without anyone and be happy. That doesn't work. You need other women because of the estrogen. Estrogen fuels your motivation, your capacity, your excitement about life. If you've seen one woman by herself walking down the street compared to three women walking together down the street, you'll see that the three women are more excited, more talkative, more like there's more life in them. Femininity. That's what's needed. And in monogamy, that's what's missing. You don't have the other women. You want the man to spend time with you all the time, and he's more and more becoming more like you, meaning more feminine, because he needs to meet you, because you don't feel the connection. You want connection. And when he's masculine and he comes home, there's a disconnect there because of the polarity. And that's good. There's supposed to be some form of a disconnect, because men are supposed to be somewhat of strangers. Have you noticed women very often are interested in strangers? They're interested in the mysterious guy. They're interested in, I want to investigate this. That's how women function sexually, right? But if a man is completely always available, always there, always, then the woman is not going to be fired up outside her brain about it. It's going to be like she has a girlfriend, but she doesn't want a girlfriend. Like, she does want girlfriends, but she doesn't want her man to be a girlfriend. Does that make sense? Like, she wants him to be the polarity, the stranger, the mysterious guy that comes in a little bit at the end of the night and spices up the entire evening, right? But she doesn't want him to be home with her all of the time, taking care of the kids, making food, cleaning, and all that stuff, because it's a feminine role. Three Girls in Love solves that. Absolutely beautiful. Masculinity in monogamy is not attracted to its own gender, but desires multiple partners. And 3 is the magic number. Attracted to its own gender. Like, men are not. Men don't relate to bisexuality as much as women do, unless they're massively feminine. Because if they're massively feminine, they're beginning to move towards feminine nature, and then they're going to be bisexual and homosexual and all that stuff that's going on, which is not good for family and not good for society at large. We accept them, we love everyone, and we understand. The more we understand about what everyone is going through, the more love we have for them, because, like, you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for them because their hormonals, like, their issues are catching up with them. The way that they feel inside is not according to nature. So there's issues, right? However, when you're masculine as a man, you end up having no issues because you're living according to nature and your health is amazing and you're producing and you got momentum and wins and blah, blah, blah. Everything's working. And when you are feminine, then everything's working. There's just wins, this passive income from the man producing, and he's attracted to you because he's attracted to vulnerability and femininity and fertility and all that stuff. The more feminine you are, man, I can explain that again as well. The more feminine you are as a woman, the more likely it is that you'll be able to have a healthy child yourself. Okay? Femininity fuels fertility. It's amazing. The more masculine you become, the less likely you'll be able to have children because there won't be a fertile ground within you that much. The more feminine you are, the more fertile ground there is. Anyway, moving on. I don't think. Okay, there you have it. Feminine and masculine. Warped concoction between masculine and feminine. Confusion. When you have feminine and when you've got masculine and it's, you know, two different entities and they're opposite of each other, there's no confusion. Like, for men, their drive in life, their purpose should be to move towards masculinity forever. That they cannot become more they cannot achieve their goal of being masculine enough. That's a good thing for women. Okay? And for women, the more they remain in their femininity, perfect, the way they were, and grow up remaining in that perfect nature, the more amazing this world will become. So how does all of this relate to Three Girls in Love? I'm just going to wrap up this video explaining that these are the basics, these are the fundamentals of female nature. And if you understand female nature, you'll realize that she was not designed to be alone. Okay, and she's not designed to be alone in the home. She's not designed to go out there and be disciplined in the marketplace, because that's going to make her more masculine. And she wasn't designed to be with the man who becomes feminine, because then he's a woman. You don't want that. It's going to ruin your in-love emotions. Okay, remember what I said in the beginning. I'll state it again. This channel is to help you to fall in love. We know the cause. We can help you with that one. We got tons of masculine men who are now being groomed and becoming wealthy and becoming disciplined, becoming who they were meant to be. And when that happens, amazing things will happen. So if we, let's see. So we understand that aspect. I totally blew what I was going to say, but let's see. Okay, last thing. For masculinity, truth is rational and logical. For femininity, emotion is truth. That's a very good one that we also have on our Three Girls in Love thing. Emotion is truth. How does it work? It's basically that what you feel is truth to you. Like, for example, I'm just going to use this last example to explain. When you see a guy and you begin to have emotions for him, meaning that you get turned on by him, and you're like, wow, this is exciting, and he's a stranger, he's mysterious, and like basically he fulfills all my criteria, and I want to know more. Okay, when that happens, these emotions are actually telling you that this is truth. This is according to how it's supposed to be. It feels right. Interesting, huh? And then you get to know him better, and actually you figure out, like, your rational brain is going to be like, oh, he actually is sleeping around with a bunch of women. He actually is very easily seduces me and wants to take me into bed on the first date. He very easily does this and that and the other. And I know he's not going to be a good father for my children, but I trust him because of your emotions. Does that make sense? Like, your emotions will believe that he is to be trusted and that he's truthful. That puts women in very dangerous circumstances if they believe that they should be controlled by their emotions their entire lives. We want them to express their emotions, both mentally, physically, and all those things within a protected environment. But if they're outside the protected environment, and in other words, no one's protecting them, and they're being told that they need to be masculine, they need to be disciplined and focused, etc., when they move out there and begin to go to college and begin to try to explore how to find a guy and all that stuff, their emotions are going to trip women up and make them masculine. And when that happens, this world is becoming a darker and darker and darker and darker place. What I've spoken to so many women throughout my life. I was an Uber driver, okay? I listened to a lot of people and asked them questions, etc., etc. And during that time, like, every single time I would meet a masculine woman, what she thought about people was that people are so evil, and people are this, and people are that, and if they would just listen, and if they would just that, while feminine women would very often say that, oh, you know what, yes, I agree, that's fantastic, and people are amazing, yes, that guy is amazing, he's wonderful, and da-da-da-da-da, and it's just a more submissive, more flexible, more like a beautiful tone. It's amazing what feminine women have to bring to the table. And it's amazing how women feel when they're feminine. And that's really what our movement is all about, helping women to remain in their femininity and helping men to become more masculine. Last thing, how do you remain in your femininity forever? We need to create a protected environment, okay, where you don't have to be rejected ever. Ever. And that's possible. And if there is a rejection, it's a small rejection that has to do with your family, or if it's out there, you're with two other best friends who believe what you do and who act like you do and who are going in the exact same direction as you. And when you go out with those two, or even with just one of them, because maybe the other one is together with the man, then you will feel protected. You will feel that there's strength in numbers, and you won't be by yourself, handling rejection all on your own, and then not being able to not care, struggling, and going through the motions of masculinity, of going towards masculinity, because masculinity loves rejection. We're fired up by it. We're excited about moving towards rejection, because we know rationally, the more we're rejected, the faster we become successful. But as a woman, your nature needs to be protected at all costs, so that the few rejections that you do get is like your child crying, or the rejection of, we haven't figured out the sexual aspect yet, in terms of, I want better and better and better and better and better. Like, it becomes like fun. Rejection becomes fun because you're three women trying to solve a problem. And if you're solving a problem together with other people, it's amazing, it's fun, and you're going in the same direction. Meaning, if you disagree, you don't disagree a lot, because you have the same value system, the same beliefs, the same everything. And I don't know if you've noticed that, but when you're with other women, very often there's a mismatch. and then you get upset with each other, and then you blame each other, and then there's disharmony, and then you don't want to talk to her anymore, and there's drama, and you want to talk to your other friends, and then you gossip amongst each other, about the other woman or women, and there's just so much back and forth. Imagine if you could just choose your two best friends. You choose them, not the man. You choose your two best friends, you choose each other, and then together as a collective package, you get a man of high value who's massively rewarded, and that's why he's massively motivated to take all of the blame and to go out there and become a multi-millionaire. Because if that happens, you basically all get everything that you want, and we're all living according to nature. Let's just handle the questions if there are any. If not, I'm going to head out. Oh, there's one comment. I am here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.